Drinking buddies, we got the brand new Little Book Chapter 7 here, and I think the only way to really give it a full review without letting biases get in the way is to do it blind. So we're going to compare it against batch 6 and batch 4. Let's go.
I'm your drinking buddy.
If you guys know, Little Book is about a $125 bottle, so it is not cheap, but it's a once-a-year release. It's very experimental, and I really like the experimentation. Now, some people, it might be a little bit of a turnoff to spend that kind of money on an experimental product, but I like the innovation, and so far I haven't been disappointed. I've only had I've had 5, 6 before, and I like both of them. And somewhere in here is 4, but I have not tried that yet. So we've had 6 before, obviously. We have not had 4 yet, and 7 I just popped. It's brand new pop. So let's go over what's in 7 first. So 7 is going to be an 18-year Kentucky bourbon, a 17-year Kentucky bourbon, a 10-year Kentucky rye, a 9-year Kentucky bourbon, a 5-year malt whiskey finished in applewood smoked barrels, a 4-year straight bourbon whiskey, and a 4-year straight rye whiskey. Now, each one of those barrels is going to be something that contributed to a previous batch in some way, and then a new barrel as well was added. But the maple smoked barrel, applewood smoked malt is one of the ingredients in this guy, Little Book 6. I have a cheat sheet here because I lost the little tag for Book 6, which makes me a little sad. But anyway, so it's going to be 4-year malts that are finished in cherry wood, applewood, and hickory smoked barrels, and then a 4-year malt with maplewood staves, as well as a 5-year bourbon. So this one was a little young for $125. So I get why people were a little bit apprehensive of this. However, we're talking about how many different finishes on here? It couldn't have been cheap to do that many different finishes on this product. Malts are kind of expensive anyway. Anyway, I think it was worth $125. Let's see if this guy is. But first we have to talk about Chapter 4. So Chapter 4 was a really weird one because it had a 4-year brown rice bourbon in it. It had a 7-year bourbon and then a 9-year rye. That one was called Lessons Honored. This one is To the Finish, and this one is In Retrospect. They're all barrel-proof products. The batch 6 is 117.4 proof. The batch 7 is 118.1 proof. Only thing we can really do is dive in and see what happens. Oh, one more thing. When I poured this out, I'm really curious if the mouthfeel gives this one away, because pouring this thing out was like pouring maple syrup on pancakes. This boy is thick. So anyway, let's dive in. Very pleasant nose on here. I really like it. It's very desserty. Brown sugar, maple. Very nice. Little peanut coming through. You get a little bit of that Booker's profile on these. So if you like Booker's, I find these to be better than most batches of Booker's. They're more experimental. A lot of the whiskey in them is usually older, obviously not this one, but you get some really, there's 18 and 17-year-old stuff in this. It does go down to 4-year, but I think that 4-year might be our rice whiskey that's in the batch 4. I don't know for sure, but rice bourbon. So it's not a rice whiskey. It's a bourbon with rice in the mash. I'm assuming that rice might be the flavoring grain, the brown rice instead of rye or winter wheat. I'm sure it says somewhere on their website if you look it up. I didn't think of it until right now, and I don't know. I didn't really give much on here, sorry. But it's brown sugar, it's bourbon vanilla, it's peanuts, it's a little bit of cinnamon. This is really good. I don't know if maybe I just have this idea in my head because we were talking about brown rice, but I think maybe I taste some brown rice on here. Maybe that's the brown rice one, but I'm getting like a grainy thing that's a little bit young. Anyway, dig it. I dig it. I gotta talk about Z-Biotics. So as you guys know, I drink a lot while on this channel, and sometimes even when I do half-ounce pours, I still end up feeling kind of awful the next day. That's where Z-Biotics comes in handy, because drinking produces a chemical called acetaldehyde. Now, that is what makes you feel terrible the next day. That byproduct develops in your gut, and it just makes for a nasty day. But Z-Biotics uses a similar enzyme that your liver uses to help break that down. As a result, the acetaldehyde is broken down, setting you up for a better day of drinking. Now, I would also recommend you stay hydrated and you don't drink too much, and use my promo code in the description to get 10% off of your first order of Z-Biotics. This one's a little bit more bright in retrospect. This one's a little bit more dank, like a little bit more like dark cherry, like funky tree stump, like wet tree stump, wet meadow. Nothing barnyard here. It smells nice, a little strong. This one smells stronger than that one. That does drink hot. That drinks hotter than the first one. But man, I love the little tingling sensation on the tip of my tongue. Great mouthfeel. This one's spicier. This one's got some more rye qualities going on, a little bit more herbal, a little bit more rye spice, pumpkin spice, baking spices, whatever you want to call that little spicy note. I think this one might just be coming off as being, this one to me, oh, and then that peanut butter finish. Oh yeah, the peanut butter finish is really nice. Really coating my whole mouth in like a peanut butter sensation. I'm allergic to peanuts, so that's a really nice thing to find, because I can't have peanuts anymore. Oh yeah, it's not even just a peanut thing. It's like a nutty thing like pecans too. Huh. I have no idea what's what. I just know I like the first two glasses. I do think I do like one a little bit more than two. This is funky. Barnyard. I don't know if I like this nose. This is barnyard and like young grains. A little bit of bright, like citrusy. Cornbread. This one's more, yeah, this one's youthy. Okay, so I know exactly which one this one is. I can tell that this is mostly malt whiskey, but there's some really great notes that come on here, and this is one of the reasons why I like this bottle so much. I'm like 90% sure it's this guy, batch 6, or chapter 6, because it's a book, that's right. Anyway, there's a cherry wood thing, there's a maple thing. I don't necessarily know if I taste apple wood, but there's definitely like different types of oak on here that kind of really blend together and do a really fun dance on your tongue. Terrible nose, amazing palate. It's kind of weird how that works out. I do really like this. On the nose, it just smells like it's going to be so youthy, and the palate on it's just smoky and delightful. I dig it. I dig it. I dig it. It really does taste like you blended a smoky American single malt with a bourbon, and it's delightful. I do dig it. But do I like it better than these two? I don't know. I think me being that American whiskey lover, I generally lean bourbon and rye, even on malts that I like. So I think I do like the first two glasses more, but I will say that the finish on this, it is called to the finish. The finish on this is phenomenal. So like palate's not maybe as good as these two, but the finish is really solid. I'm going to give them one more taste. I'll fast forward through this part so you don't see the same tasting notes 4 times. So the second time through, now I'm really getting like an almondy, like almond paste, like marzipan type smell on the nose. Something that I don't know if I've ever gotten on a whiskey before. It's totally there. Marzipan, almond, like crazy. And then on the palate, there's this black pepper thing that is reminding me of, man, this is going to sound completely off the wall. It's like black pepper and soy sauce together. It's funny because it's a sweet pour, but there's just this weird, like savory note on the finish that's giving me like black pepper and soy sauce. Wild bottle, wild ride on glass 2. I definitely think that glass 2 might be a little too wild, not in a bad way. I would buy glass 1 and 2 again, and I definitely would consider buying glass 3 again at that $125 price. But it's not as good as the other two, if that makes sense. Whatever's in glass 1 and 2, I would buy again at $125. And I feel like I got to go with glass 1 being my favorite. I really hope that isn't batch 4. I really hope this is not chapter 4. Let's go bottom to top. Like I said, there's no bottom here. This is just one that I would have to think about buying again personally. And this one is... Oh, cool. All right, so this was the 6. All right, so I nailed that, at least. I know that. I think this is hopefully the batch 4. I'm hoping, because I really want my favorite to be the new one, but I don't know. Who knows? Since I've never had either of these before, it really could go either way. And they're both, like, rye weirdness. This one's got an applewood smoked malt in it, and then the chapter 4 has a rice bourbon blended into it, so it could really go either way. This one was... 4! Sweet! My favorite was the 7. Yes! I just call that a victory purely because I have an entire bottle to enjoy of this. And if I wanted to go find a batch 4, which is from like 4 years ago, I would have to shell out like $500, and I don't want that to happen. So, I mean, I wouldn't. It's not worth... Whatever's in this glass is not worth hunting for and finding for $400. You know, you find a museum liquor store where this stuff is sitting on shelves and no one ever buys anything, and they have some limited stuff, and it's, you know, maybe $150. I might go that high because this is really good, but they're priced well at $125. I don't think I would go much more than that. 2 is really solid, but this one, I really dig it. I really dig it. This one also would, like, while being weird and funky, it also really gives me Booker's vibes. It's like Booker's with some weird things going on, which is crazy. So I did enjoy that. Whereas this is just really interesting, really great pour, really goes down smooth. That one drank hot, and this one, it just popped the bottle, just poured it, first pour out of the bottle, and doesn't drink hot at all. The mouthfeel didn't give it away, but now that I know that this is that one, the mouthfeel totally makes sense. I mean, this thing... The way it like drips so freaking slowly down the glass just tells you what the legs on it. Anyway, love it. I definitely think that I'm glad I purchased this one. Thank you so much for watching, Drinking Buddies. Definitely recommend the little book Chapter 7 if you can find it. I like it much more than Batch 6 or Chapter 6, and I think that was a good release from last year. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.